What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Black Man Unfiltered Network. Get your popcorn ready. Ladies, get your glass of wine together right now. Sip it, because we're about to take you on an emotional journey that you've never been on in your life. You're going to laugh, you're going to cry, you're going to be mad, you're going to be happy, you're going to agree, you're going to disagree, and that's what Black Man Unfiltered is about. We want all of you to have a voice, and this is the place where voices are heard. So thank you guys, because we're going to have the conversations that nobody else wants to have, and we're going to come to a medium, we're going to come to solutions, or we're going to agree to disagree, but you're in the right place to do it. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I want to introduce you guys to all the shows that's on the network coming up on this next slide. Peace!
Boss. Listen, guys, I'm coming to you with something new and very exciting. It's called I Choose You. Yes, it's a new dating show, and we want all of you to get excited about it. Yes, it is a dating show. It's going to be a virtual dating show. We want all you bachelors and your bachelorettes to get excited about it. So stay tuned for I Choose You.
Driving around in California, looking for something to make me stay. Round and round forever searching for something that could never get replaced. Don't need you to save me, but I just really need to be saved. I'm just so sick of waiting for any luck to come my way. Yeah.
everybody. Welcome in.
What's up? What's up? How y'all doing?
Show. This is the Black Man Unfiltered Network. And so this is a one-on-one sports show. I am Dante. Unfortunately, Shawnee's a little under the weather, so we're not here tonight. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Nice to meet you. My name is Marcus. Shout out to Dante. Shout out to Black Man Unfiltered and anyone else watching. This is a sports show.
All right, man. We're going to get into it. So a lot going on, a lot picked up today, trade rumors and speculation. We're 8 days away from the draft. So, but one of the biggest things, and it does tie to the draft, but it's bigger than that, is the story about Kelvin Joseph. So if you're not familiar with it, basically, I want to say, was it either last Wednesday or Thursday, stuff started to leak out from Cowboy insiders and people that follow the team was just like, hey, just letting you know, some really, really bad news is about to drop. And I saw somebody in the comments that put Kelvin Joseph's name, and I was like, well, he was like a characteristic kind of thing or whatever. So it was some stuff about him. A good program like LSU literally was, got rid of him. And, and so basically after that, it came out that there was a fight and there was a shooting incident. And so I thought to myself, surely this man wasn't involved like with the shooting. So it came out, he initially said, hey, he wasn't involved with the shooting. So they literally did a story on, in DFW, they did a story on Channel Fox 4. And that like the police like asking for, people to come forward and speak on the matter. As soon as that happened, Kelvin gets spotted, notified. He meets with the police on Friday. And at the same time, basically, not the same time, but the same day that he meets with the police, the men involved did end up confessing. And so they confessed to the crime. And so it came out that Kelvin Joseph he did not fire a shot, but he was in the passenger seat of the vehicle when the incident happened. And this incident happened on March 18th. And so for you not to kind of like anything to say until April was already an issue, but the fact that you were running with people of that nature, that thing happened. One of the people was chaotic. One of the people involved was a convicted felon. So it's kind of one of those deals where it's like, hey, what type of people are you hanging around? And then for this incident to happen and not to say anything, that was troubling, and that has put a lot of people in the Dallas Fort media pretty upset. So Marcus, I'm gonna try to get your thoughts on it. What's going on, Harmony?
Man, it's unfortunate what happened, and so I'm hoping the best for them and to the families as well. So it's unfortunate that this kind of stuff happens. Prayers are to him and to the loved ones. Hopefully this gets resolved, this issue. And I still don't know much, but I'm still looking into it myself. So I don't want to speak too quickly and too loosely. But, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, from everything I know is the fact that Kelvin Joseph has, basically said he wasn't involved with it. And the other thing that's interesting about the case is that he was actually, since he hasn't been formally charged, and that the Dallas Police Department has said that he was a person of interest because they were looking for information, and the people have, since confessed. He's not, no more legal issues are going on, but it's the fact that you were involved with something like that, and just basically, if it wasn't for video evidence or anyone saying anything, it could have been a situation where like, hey, he just didn't say anything, and he never would have said anything, and so that was definitely troubling. And I would say the other fact is, like I said, let me make sure I get the person, give respect to the dead. Cameron Ray, he was a gentleman that passed away, that was killed. He was only 20 years old, and he had just been in a fight with them. And, the video cameras did show there was a fight on Greenville Avenue. Kelvin Joseph and his crew, they get into a fight with the guy, then they get in a vehicle, come around, and then they shoot the gentleman. They shoot at the gentleman, end up killing him. Then he died. He was pronounced dead on the way to the hospital, if I'm not mistaken, from what I've read. And so it's kind of like, yo, that's a really terrible look. But it puts the Cowboys in a position that you made them look stupid. They didn't know about the situation. And as far as anybody wealthy, especially NFL professional teams, they have fixers. So if he goes and tells them on March 18th that night or 19th, like, hey, I was involved in this situation, this is what happened.
Right.
They could definitely like get their situation resolved. Like his name would have been hot, like, hey, he was involved with things like this. but they would have already known. By them being shocked and not knowing about it, I know they're embarrassed, and it could even be that they're just kind of waiting for what the NFL would say before they release him. But it's a situation that does make them look bad. It is a stain on his name, and basically, if he's able to stay in the league and not, I don't know if I can see him getting suspended. I put it in a large, I would lean towards more suspended than not. But it's a situation where if he's able to continue his career in the NFL, he's walking on very thin ice, and he's gonna have to like change the people obviously he's hanging around. And the two gentlemen that were arrested were Tavon English, 21-year-old man, and Arius Jones, a 28-year-old man, and they face a murder charge for the killing of Cameron Ray. And so a lot of people are upset. A lot of people are like, hey, why is he still on the team? Why are you waiting for them to do anything? And it's one of those gray areas like, hey, he was involved with something, but he didn't do it. So it's just like,
it's like wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, it was, wrong place, wrong time. And then, so it could be that. I said it earlier this week when we were talking about like topics for the show. It's something that's layered, because if you got someone and it's like, hey, if someone is hanging around you, they should know the level of status that you have, and that, okay, you got, you did the shooting, you did this crime, Mr. English and Mr. Jones, but their names just got released once they confessed. Kelvin Joseph's name is everywhere for 24 or 48 hours and longer, and my name is getting sullied behind you. So you should have people around you that aren't going to put you in position to look bad.
Right.
And that's one thing. There's another thing that, hey, people are loyal to people they may have came up with. I don't know the family history, how long they've been rolling together and hanging out, and could have been knowing them since they were childhood friends. Could have done a lot of different things. But the fact that maybe one of the reasons why he didn't tell, I don't know, if somebody goes and kills somebody, and I say, hey, let me out the car, there's a chance I'm following right with them. Now, the only issue with that is, hey man, that happened on April 18th. You turned yourself in and went to talk to the police on April 15th, so nearly a month. So that is the whole issue if someone were to try to say it. And I'll say the other layered issue that's a problem, and I've seen it, and I know it's not just a thing particular to the Cowboys, because I know the Cowboys fan base gets a lot of grief, as it should, because some of us within the fan base, we will talk about that later another time, but it's like they only like, oh, he ain't guilty, oh, he didn't do it, oh, we gonna roll with him, we need to go out and let him play. And it's just one of those things like, hey man, you know how that looks, like you're putting Mr. Ray's life and just the fact of him being in that dangerous type of situation of you putting football above that. And I do think like we do need to stop a second and put all the reverence and all the respect we can on like, hey, someone lost their life and it took a lot of work, to get this, for get him to turn himself in. And I think that's like a bad look. And so I can see easily a good suspension, but it's just, that's the most important thing. It's like, hey, it was a loss of life. You can't condone and can't conduct those type of activities. So that's basically all I have on that one. That, sorry, I hate to start it off with like such a negative note, or something like that. You're good. But sticking with football, we transition to what happened with DEBO Samuel. That was a bit what's going on, Journey. But
also shout out to Harmony Pill as well. She was in the chat.
I appreciate y'all checking in. So I would say when you see something as far as like DEBO Samuel getting traded, I saw it and I heard rumors, and it's kind of one of those deals like when any position group resets the market, other players up close to their deal looking like, hey, when I'm going to get my piece of the pie. And so a guy like DEBO Samuel was taken in the second round. He doesn't have the 5th-year option. Now, they can't franchise tag him, but he's trying to get his money now. And then it was kind of like his brother had mentioned something on social media about, maybe him being unhappy and different things like that and wanted to be traded. And so, he was saying on Facebook, and basically today he confirmed DEBO confirmed what his brother said. He does want to be traded, and he and it's not about the money. And so things have been trying to trickling out like it's not about the money. What is it about? Well, the way he was used, and this is just speculation. It hasn't been confirmed. Like the trade, the trade request, not really a demand, more of a request. is that he didn't like being loosed in the standpoint of, playing the running back position and doing that. He's versatility, and kudos to him if he wasn't happy doing that and he did it for the team to help them survive and make the playoffs and then making the NFC Championship. But if he wants to be preserved and used as a receiver and get his money as a receiver, I totally respect that, because I know myself in the back of my mind I was like, well, that's nice that he can do that, but it's interesting, but it's a bit of a gimmick. And it's just like, hey, you per se want a guy that can run the routes and make things happen like that. So Marcus, what's your take on that?
When it comes to weighing out trades and all that, I'm always that person that pros and cons, right? Their tangibles, their attributes, what they bring to the table, how they work together as a team. Because remember, football is a team sport, right?
True.
And you got to make sure what comes with the person you're acquiring in that trade and what you're giving up for it, as always. So, I'm still on the 50-50 on that. I'm on the fence with that possibility of that person, going into the trade. I think now it's different because like the shift has changed, right, to usual teams. Now, like, it's not the same anymore. Like, we have Russell Wilson with the Broncos. We got we got Tyreek Hill with the Dolphins. I thought he was going to go to the Buccaneers, Tom Brady. But it's just I'm taking it day by day now, because now it's unexpected what you're going to see in the NFL trade market.
Yeah, as far as the trade market, it's like, at least you think, okay, he's going to get a first round pick. But the only issue with like trades, if you look at them in a certain philosophy, and I know like I root for a team, the Cowboys, that have the philosophy that they're really a team that kind of sticks to, we want to give up one or the other. And a lot of teams are like that. A lot of teams will give up a valuable pick, and then pay a guy huge money. And traditionally, you would say, hey, if I'm going to give up a first round pick, let me at least get a guy under a contract for a few years, so I'm not spending two assets. But and obviously, when you just talked about Tyreek Hill, this is a situation in the NFL right now, is that some teams are going to be aggressive and they're going to do whatever it takes. So they're going to give up picks and money. Like, I will say this, while the wide receiver position is very important, and a guy like DEBO Samuel is a special player, special talent, I'm not sure if I would give up too much to get him and then pay him. And the reason why I would say that is this: it is a passing game, it's a passing league. If you know anything about like how high school football is covered, is done and developed now, these guys are playing 7-on-7. They're playing 7-on-7. They're doing a lot of passing academies and camps. Like, receivers and quarterbacks, if they want to, they can basically be year-round playing. A lot of guys in high school do play other sports, but it's so nuanced and they're doing it so much. And even the college game they're getting and developing their skills even more there. So you're getting, the league. And I heard an old scout or old coach, I don't know if it was Parcells or whoever it was, said that we can only draft what the college game gives us. And as of right now, the college game is giving you a lot of gifted receivers. And it used to be a thing in the NFL to where receivers were one of the harder positions. Receivers, obviously quarterback, and pass rushers were the hardest positions. And offensive tackle, we're like, hey, when they come in, it's going to be trial by fire, and they're not going to be expected to just jump off the page. We've seen that. Obviously, we've seen two of the greater statistical seasons from rookies in the last 2 years, from Jamar Chase recently in 2021 and Jefferson in 2020. So it's like, hey, are those guys just special? But then if you look at the other rookies that were able to, produce as well, you're getting a lot of rookies that can produce. And, it's all about the salary cap. It's all about money. You can get a cheaper DEBO Samuel. Like, a lot of players think, a lot of scouts think that the kid from Arkansas is going to be some Traylon Burks is a guy that can be a DEBO Samuel type. He's bigger than him, and he's somebody that can make a lot of plays and is physical, run after the catch. So that's a situation where some teams might say, I'm going to opt to draft a guy, get, some of the production, maybe not all of what DEBO Samuel gives me, and then I can go ahead and still, save my money and allocate it somewhere else. Because, not to sound like Stephen Jones, but there's only so much pie to slice. You can manipulate the cap as much as you want, but it's a situation where eventually it does catch up to you. Primal Studies, what's going on, man?
Shout
I
out
appreciate
to
you
Primal,
checking
man.
in. Appreciate you checking in. So it's like you got to figure out how you're gonna play it. Me as a GM, I feel like I like DEBO Samuel, and I like AJ Brown, another player that's trying to get paid. It's basically some of the trade rumors are smoke, and they just want to get paid, and then if they don't get paid, then they want to get traded into someone that's gonna compensate them. And I don't fault the guys because the game is short-lived in the NFL. So if you're gonna get paid, at least get paid somewhere where you're gonna be able to provide and thrive and get your money as soon as possible. You could be a guy like Chris Godwin out in Tampa Bay, and he signed the deal, won the ring, had the franchise
talented
towards ACL. Now he did end up getting a deal, but who's to say the numbers that he was putting up at the time, what type of deal he could have gotten if he was just like, hey, I'm out here, can you afford to franchise tag me? What if I hit the open market? What's going to happen? So you have to keep that in consideration when guys get tagged, man. It is a risk to go out there and play. We've seen plenty of players go play under the tag, get hurt, and it's question mark. So
sometimes their career is the same anymore after that injury.
Exactly. So I don't blame these guys. I know I was in one of my group chats and we were saying, man, it's becoming like the NBA and guys are asking for trades. And I was just like, look, I'm pro player. I'm not going to be pro billionaire owner organization. And, these guys got a short time to eat and get their money. These teams are going to get passed down or sold. And then those dividends passed down to the people that own the trust or own the team. So it's like, I'm going to side with them. And it's just like, hey, if they want to go to another team and they do it politely, I appreciate it. If it's one of those situations where it gets ugly and they do it, it's probably not the best situation, but they're looking out for what's best for them. Because please believe, when the team thinks that you're not valuable anymore and the contracts aren't guaranteed, they're going to cut you or they're just going to trade you for nothing. Like the Cowboys, they didn't see much value in Amari Cooper, traded him. And then they're going to put all the spin that they want to out there. So I'm pro player.
Man, he's still a good receiver.
Definitely still a good receiver, and definitely depending on how long Deshaun Watson is out, it's going to be one of those situations where he could prove them dead ass wrong. He really could. And speaking of the bad offseason that the Cowboys have had, look how the receiver market has exploded. So you were complaining about paying a guy 20. If you would have kept him and maybe got rid of some other people on the roster that weren't as productive, or that you just made the tough financial decisions to get rid of them, you would have looked
only
like,
paid him $10 million.
Adams is getting paid like 30, and then you got the same situation with Tyreek Hill, and then it's like, okay, we're paying him 20, and he's coming off a down year, so it's not like he's going to come out and say, hey, I'm demanding a pay raise. So they just look bad in that situation. And now, of course, they're receiver hunting and looking for another receiver. And, you'll see how that goes. But with a week, 8 days before, basically tomorrow is a week before the draft. If DEBO is going to get moved, I would say if he's not moved by draft night or on draft night, then he's probably going to have to just figure it out, because draft picks are the most valuable right near the draft, and they're not as valuable after the draft. And then, for however that works in the minds of general managers, I guess it's more of I want to pick now and use it, rather than I get picks later and I can't use them for another year. And in the way the NFL is, you might not have a job. That pick might be for the next general manager. So, if you got anything else on that one, we can open up. But we got a lot of playoff series to get to, so I'll let you choose. So what we moving on to next, Marcus?
Yeah, NBA playoffs, man. Let's absolutely do that.
All right, so I'll lead it off. The Celtics and the Nets are playing right now. It's halftime, and the Nets are up 10. I'm not gonna lie, I have a lot of criticisms for Kyrie Irving, but I will never say he's not an elite basketball player. But hey man, I like him getting into it with the fans of the Celtics. First of all, I'm a Lakers fan, so I can't stand the Celtics. And the fact that they are still hanging on to him leaving, and it's just like, let it go. Like, yeah, he was supposed to do more while he was there, but it wasn't like he cost you from winning a championship or anything like that. Like, it's like, let that shit go, man. And they keep holding on to it, and he's tired of hearing it. He's giving the double birds. I mean, he's telling people my SMD. Like I'm liking how he's coming with it. I'm just hoping he produces and puts them away.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, I agree because knowing the Nets, they're definitely talented. They have a roster. And the Celtics, they're warriors, they're dogs as well. So they'll play it to the last minute, last second. And obviously it showed with Jason Tatum hitting that game-winning shot, cutting to the basket, Real quick, I want to make sure we shout out to the audience again. The StreamYard link is there in the chat. Anybody that Lashes, Primal, Chaotic, Harmony, anybody else that is coming in, please feel free to join in and conversate. And we'll be sure we talk about anything as far as right now we're in the section of NBA playoffs. But back to the discussion right now. I agree with you. The Nets do have some things to work on because knowing them, I believe that the Celtics are obviously the better defensive team, but I believe the Nets are the more better offensive team in my opinion. The Nets are
definitely.
But then again, will we see another game like this down the line? I believe so because both these teams are hungry. Both have something to prove. So, I'm always rooting for Jason Tatum. I'm always rooting for the little guy Marcus Smart because he's a little dog. You need that kind of guy on your team.
Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart.
Yes, and then obviously Jaylen Brown. I don't know, maybe he's not the same Jaylen Brown that I knew back then a few years ago, but they're all trying. They're all putting their work. And also shout out to the old man, Al Horford.
Yeah,
because he's an OG. He's an OG. Back in the Atlanta Hawks days. And as far as the Nets go, yeah, KD and Kyrie, they need to make sure they communicate better because they're both top dogs. But as far as leadership goes, I think KD's the overall better leader in that team, and he needs to take control of that more, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that the way the team is set up, they're so offensively gifted. They literally just have to get a couple of stops. If they can just get a couple of those stops, and so guys like, the Cam Thomases of the world and the Nick Claxton, as far as him being a guy that can, defend the rim and make some plays and just give them some effort and give them some plays defensively. That's what they really need. Is really as good as they can play, as good as they are. They just need a little bit, man, like a little bit. And we know like KD can give you a play here or there, but at his older age and with the, your body does change after, especially being older after the Achilles tear. Him being able to move sometimes, he may not be able to help as much, but with him, his reach, he can help defensively, contest a few shots. Kyrie and just, step up and, give some effort. And if they can get enough stops, I do have them picked to win this series. I know they went game one, the Celtics were taking it, but the only thing that I think the other thing that's going to come into play for the Nets, when you come into that position where you get that lower seed and you're like, hey, we're worried about the playoffs, we'll handle it then. Well, if you don't handle your business in the regular season, yeah, you have to face all the tougher teams, but out the gate, if they were to go ahead, like I predicted, and beat the Celtics, who do they play in the second round? They play the Bucks again. So you're going through the number 2 seed, and one of the teams in the regular season, the Celtics had one of the best point differentials in the Eastern Conference and the NBA overall. And they also, so if you beat them, you battle them. I think that'll be at least a 6-game series. Then you're gonna probably have the Bucks. Probably, I would say, coming off of a sweep because the Bulls are young, they're not ready. And hopefully they take this experience and they go ahead and decide to get better as a team and work on their game and work on some things themselves. They got DeMar DeRozan as the veteran leader, but with Zach LaVine and the other guys on the team, I know they're missing Lonzo Ball, but he's hurt. But and then you got Nikola Vucevic, and he's more of a veteran guy. But the other youngsters they have on their team, those guys just got to get in the rotation and play. The Kobe Whites of the world and stuff. They got to get in the rotation to play, get the playoff experience, and see that hey, the intensity is another notch, and all you can do in that situation is just learn from it. Hopefully, the best thing you can hope for them is to compete and maybe pull one out at home. It's tough to lose when you're the visiting team. You lose those last 2 at home. That's tough, but yeah, that's gonna be a tough role for the Nets. And I know, like everyone, the dark horse for everyone in the playoffs was like the Raptors, like an upset pick of the Sixers. And then the first 2 games, I just didn't see that, man. What do you like? I just didn't see it. Like, I just think that like it's the situation with the we just talked about with the Nets, just more talent.
Well, the Raptors right now, aren't they really like they're hurt though right now, right? Because they lost somebody. The Raptors, one of the players.
I think they got the key guys. Like I think they kept. I know they got Van Vliet. He's playing, and I know they have they're really good forward. I guess Pascal Siakam, that's his name. Pascal Siakam is still playing, and he's he played this year at an All NBA level. May not make it, or he might make it on the 3rd team just because it's so competitive. They got Gary Trent Jr. and so like, the other guys they have, like I just think they're not talented enough. But Nick Nurse is a coach that's won a championship, put in a really good culture with that team, and had them fighting hard. So with the combination of Nick Nurse, Fred VanVleet, and Pascal Siakam, I think that's taking them a long ways. Now, I want to say as far as the injury, I'm looking to see on their roster that injury could have been Scotty Barnes, who's up for Rookie of the Year. So that would be a big loss. But that's a team that, they're not different situation from the Bulls because they do have a few veterans that have won. But they're kind of, the Bulls and the Raptors are similar boats, whereas they have a brighter future than some of the teams in the playoffs because basically the Nets, on the other hand, have a lot of the pressure on them. If they don't win, KD's extended, Kyrie's up for an extension. They're kind of capped out, and they don't have many more assets. I mean, they got Ben Simmons, but that's a question mark. And if he's going to come to play, I mean, who knows what he can get?
He's not exactly an offensive, explosive player.
He's not an offensive. Now, he helps them defensively, and he can handle the ball. But just, do you want a guy you haven't played with coming in and make an impact minute? So that's another thing with the Nets, and I just slipped. So that slipped my mind, and it's just like, man, it's crazy.
And now let's talk about more of the Western Conference, because the Warriors are the ones dominating right now. They're the ones that I look at the most as coming out of the West, in my opinion, so far.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, because you got the Warriors, right? And then you got the Suns, who are up. Are they up 2-0, or is it 1-1 right now?
No, it's 1-1. Actually, the big news in that series was that Devin Booker, it's expected for him to miss games 3 and 4, and Brandon Ingram went off. He went off the other night, and he really carried the Pelicans. And that's an impressive performance, man. Definitely an impressive performance for a guy like him that you always thought he had that potential. But he dropped 37 points, 11 boards, 9 assists. That's
almost triple-double.
Almost a triple-double. That's dangerous. And people forget that the Pelicans, which it sucks that Zion is hurt. If you put Zion in that lineup, now you kind of see they're like, oh, okay, they really got something.
Black man's being petty down there.
What'd he say?
They said what they do the Lakers play.
Nah, man, you're not gonna see that. You're not gonna see that, Black man. You're not gonna see that. You're not gonna see that for a long time, man. And by the time you do see it, it's gonna be a brand new roster. Hopefully not as old.
And before we pivot back to the Western Conference playoffs, Nick Nurse is in conversation to potentially be head coach for the Lakers.
Man, I'm not gonna lie. It's first of all, let me take it a step back. How pissed is the NBA, and how bad of an organization has the Lakers looked in like from the time that they have fired Frank Vogel to literally the rumors and leaks, everything happening with Nick Nurse. You said Master P wants to be the coach. Man, look, at this point, he can't do no work. He can't do any worse than some of the other hires we had. Vogel was solid, and at the time I always knew he was a stopgap, short-term hire. And they should have got Tyronn Lue, who's shown he will, he can do the right things and push the needles with a guy like a LeBron. And he was a guy that, as far as coaches go, coaches that played in the league but weren't stars, those guys tend to be really good coaches because they know what it takes to stick around in the league. And so the Lakers blew that. They blew the literal firing of their coach, where like he's getting asked after the game only thing they were playing for in the final game was not to lose 50 games. And, so you win that game and it's like, hey, you heard about, you getting let go? And it's just like, come on, man. How did you let that news leak out? Everyone knew it, but you have to at least be professional and it not come out. So for that to come out, Nick Nurse was rumored, like you said, Marcus. Guess who else was rumored?
Who?
Quinn Snyder from the Jazz. And then that was a situation the league can't be happy about because the Jazz are imploded. They know like the deal with the Jazz and what it makes. The NBA is majority black, and Utah is not that. And players that's not a destination for free agents unless they massively overpay or guys get traded or drafted there. And so for you to have a guy like Donovan Mitchell, a rising star in the league, and he's not happy, him and Gobert don't get along, and that goes way back to the COVID situation and COVID, Gobert being kind of silly, and who knows what else. It'll all come out eventually once they split up. But just the locker room tension is there, and they lost the other night to the Mavericks, to Jalen Brunson, who dropped a 40 burger. And it was just like, hey, man, that's buying time for Luka to come back. And that's a problem for them. That's a real problem for them.
Hey, man, I'm excited, man, because Donovan Mitchell, I love seeing Donovan Mitchell ball.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites that I like. And then you got Luka balling as always. That is like a clash of titans right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm just hoping with Luka, with his injury, and that series is tied at 1-1, I'm worried about the whole calf injury, because as you remember the Kevin Durant situation, it was a calf strain. He was out a while, came back, and we know how it ended, with him.
Oh, you're talking about 3 years ago on the Raptors and the Warriors?
Yeah, and that's just a situation where it's like, hey, nobody's a medical expert. We're not, but everyone was right about the Achilles being torn. So it's one of those deals where you're leery about it, because basically if he tears that Achilles now, the whole 22-23 season is out the window, and we'll see you in the 23-24 season. So it said is basically optimistic. The Dallas media basically was like, hey, hearing optimism, good chance he plays in Game 3. But I want to give Jalen Brunson his props, man, for the game that he was able to produce. It's tough to kind of come in that situation under pressure. He's contract year. So contract year, he's playing for the bag. It was alleged that the New York Knicks executives were there watching him. They're really interested. And for him to just come out and put on a performance like that, that's special. That's special. And, you got people talking about him. It was 41 points, 8 boards, 0 turnovers. So as far as a point guard, obviously you want him to distribute more, but everyone knows the Mavericks is Luka, Luka, and the other guys. So if Luka's out, it's not a lot of guys to kick dimes to. I mean, and they did get hot from the 3-point line, but if they're basically fighting to hold on till Luka gets back, if they can get some more when Luka gets back, some more performances like that from Jalen Brunson, he's gonna get him a nice contract, and either the Mavericks will keep him, or worst case scenario, they'll be able to work a sign and trade because he does have value. That's one of the Mavericks' issues is who else is going to step up, who else is going to be a ball handler. So, but even with Luka coming back, he's going to be compromised. I say at max he's 75%, so 75-80. So Jalen Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie's going to have to show up. Maxi Kleber's going to have to not disappear, because I do subscribe to the theory of what Charles Barkley says, and I want to say Kenny Smith might say it as well. Probably just Chuck, because Kenny was a role player, or he might have said it too. Role players at home are great in the playoffs. Yeah. Role players on the road, it's about your star guy.
And this is their time to step up, especially the bench. The bench needs to step up.
It is. It is. And the guys that step up, they normally get paid. They normally get paid in the playoffs. So it's one of those deals where you got to get your stars, if Luka can play, to come up. Spencer Dinwiddie to step up. Dorian Finney-Smith, who just got a nice contract, he's going to have to make some defensive plays on Donovan Mitchell. And somebody's going to have to rebound, because Rudy Gobert, they lost the rebounding matchup the other night by 19. And I was listening to the Mavericks play-by-play guy, was just like, losing the rebounding matchup by 19 is not a recipe for success. You knew that coming in, they got Gobert, a 15 rebound a night guy in the regular season. So you're at a disadvantage. You got to get as many loose rebounds you can. They're a smaller team, and I don't know. I know that how Rick Carlisle
And Rudy Gobert isn't an offensive guy, so they got to take advantage of that. They got to the Mavericks have to take advantage of that.
They have to, and what they're doing is he's gonna hang around the rim. He's gonna play what they call the drop coverage. He's gonna hang around the rim, and when they play the 5 out and spread the floor, if Maxi Kleber or whoever's at the 5 can hit a few threes, then he has to start to stretch out, and that's when you can exploit and get to the rim. But if they're not hitting any outside jumpers and he's just able to just hang in that paint, it's gonna be tough for him when going back to Utah. And that's
I always say it's Hack-a-Shaq, Rudy Gobert, Hack-a-Shaq.
You wanna, man? I as a lover of the game, I understand it, but I don't like the Hack-a-Shaq thing, the hack-a-player thing. I really don't like it, and I think it's a situation where it can backfire on you because if you get to hack at someone, then at that point, if Donovan Mitchell gets the ball and they're gonna be at home, they're calling it a little tight, he's going to the line every time after that. For two free.
Oh no, I'm saying just Hack-a-Shaq on Rudy Gobert. Send him.
I'm saying that. But if you do that, say for instance you hacking him and then you sub him out, so now you got a lineup where everyone's solid free throw shooters. If you a guy like Donovan Mitchell gets to the rack or shoots a jumper and there's a little bit of contact and sometimes at home you get more calls than on the road. Now you're putting him on the line and they can do offensive defensive substitutions. So that's just something for me. So, I mean, anybody in chat, if you want to jump in, the StreamYard link is there. If your favorite team, is in the playoffs, unlike mine, feel free to say how far you think they're going to go, if they're going to win it all. I know we're going through and picking teams. I got the Bucks picked to repeat, but just because I feel like they used to push really hard in the regular season, and they were trying to get that respect, get that top seed. And now once you win a title, it kind of takes the pressure off and hey, let's kind of coast through this thing. Let's make sure we're healthy, gear up, and get ready for the playoffs. So that's my pick. The Suns, I do think the Suns are gonna go back and rematch them and make it there. But the Suns do have an issue. We did mention about Devin Booker being hurt, but we haven't mentioned that Chris Paul is known for getting hurt. And it's not always the hammy. Sometimes it's a broken hand or it's something. It's always something. And, he's running out of chances to get that elusive championship ring, which, he's he's a top 75 guy, but how much of the icing would that be to get that ring? But you got Devin Booker being out. But I think if the Suns are
he ain't never gonna get it. He ain't gonna get it.
I think I'm not gonna lie. While I got the Bucks repeating, do you really think that if the Suns, if they make it through a tough Warriors team, and we're going to get to them next with Jordan Poole, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green on the defensive end, and they just come at you in waves.
Is Wiseman back? James Wiseman, is he going?
Wiseman is not coming back. He's hurt, and I think it's one of those deals to where he needed time to play with them because he wasn't meshing with them. He was not meshing with them. And when he did play, and that was last year, so he hasn't played at all this year. He's a big man, so you got to get the conditioning right. You got to make sure he's healthy. If he wasn't quite right, you just sit him. And there's rumors about him being traded. He was a top level pick, and he was a guy that he's big with a lot of skill. And sometimes the bigs take a little bit longer to bear fruit. As for instance, and they get hurt more. Joel Embiid. He's one of my favorite players in the league, but for a while there was just like, I love the talent, but he's just never available. And now he's worked on his body, he's been in better condition, and he played at an MVP level. And so James Wiseman is a guy that's something, I saw a rumor, and it was like James Wiseman, Klay Thompson, and I'm not sure what else. And it was like a trade for Anthony Davis. And they said that the Warriors, for whatever reason, wanted Anthony Davis to fit their style. I don't know how much truth it is. It's been every type of rumor thrown out there about the Lakers. And the Warriors normally don't like land in those type of rumors. So that was surprising. So, and sometimes it depends on who it comes from. Like if it comes from Woj, from what I've heard, Woj's scoops come directly from front offices. Like directly. He doesn't have a lot of relationships with players, but he's a guy that worked his way up and he has those front office connections. Charania, I'm not sure where his come from, but he is a pretty reliable Chris Haynes from Yahoo, he's reliable. There's a couple of guys that can give you some like good scoops. So a lot of this stuff I've been seeing, it's been rumors. I haven't been able to see and verify who it's from, and that'll come out as the offseason goes on. Because sometimes the NBA offseason.
My favorite source is Michael Rappaport.
He's wild, man. He's wild. He's like definitely from the spite of the fan like type of perspective. I like getting his anger and things like that. But we're speaking of Michael Rappaport. I would love to see what the Knicks are gonna do this off season, because Julius Randle, I hope they don't I know he was frustrated with them, but they have to make a good decision if they trade him away. He's a really good player, and he's not the player that you saw last year. That was the best you'll ever see him. But if you can get close to that, that's a guy you keep. He's he can drive, he handles the ball, and he's a guy that, he's done okay extending out to the 3-point line to play in the modern game. But he's a guy that I would not just give up on. But it is time for RJ Barrett to take a leap. As a top pick, he's got to take a leap. He's got to take a leap.
Speaking of guys who could take leaps, I want to get to John Morant from the Grizzlies.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, you read my mind, because hey, I love the energy that series has. Like, I know the first round, you have to have those series where it's not enough partners, TV partners, or maybe they should do that on the next deal where you have to have that NBA TV game. Hey, man, don't put the Timberwolves and the Grizzlies on NBA TV anymore. The whole country needs to be able to see them for the fact of the energy John Morant brings. You got his daughter on the sideline dancing as they blowing out the Timberwolves, dancing to whoop that trick. It's like, look, man, Memphis is not playing with you. Like, I love it, man. It's like, I appreciate the league. Like, they've done it maybe a little too late. Put the shine on the John Morants. Put the shines on the Anthony Edwards, another one of my favorite young players. Put that shine on those guys so they can grow. And, the endorsements do what they do, but so the NBA conscious, the casual fan, the hardcore fan is going to know about them. But it's just like, put them out there so they can get known, get their face shown. And I'm hoping that series goes 6-7 games. I think it's going to have to.
I think it goes 6 games, because when I look at this team, I look at them and I think of a 76ers, like a young team with Iverson. Kind of like them. It kind of looks like them, kind of mixed with a little bit of maybe some Detroit Pistons 80s era, a little bit, but just less fouling.
Yeah, they come with you. They defend. I mean, shout out to Memphis. They got guys like Desmond Bane, guys that while the Mavs have success, they passed on Desmond Bane, and that's like a really productive player. And it's like you got to have guys like that to go with your John Morant. And I know how people always say, man, Memphis is not a free agent destination. I would put Memphis in the boat from the culture side. Not obviously if people want to go to Miami, but Miami has that built-in culture, which sometimes I feel like is a little overrated. But I think if you trade the right player to Memphis, say for instance you get a guy that's 2 years left on his deal, you trade him there, you got 2 years to convince him to stay. And then if it doesn't totally work out the first year, you trade him the next offseason so you get something back. Or you play it out and do I think what the Raptors did was a great thing. I traded for a guy that didn't want me. He stayed. He balled out, won a ring, and left. But, how mad are the Raptors right now? How mad are they? Even though they're still can't be too mad. Can't be too mad because the guy wanted to go to the West Coast and Pop, Pop, to his respect, I ain't gonna send you where you want to go. I'm gonna send you over here. Sent you to the other conference, to a place that notoriously superstar players don't like to go. Like Toronto is in one of them weird spots where they don't count towards the TV ratings because they're in Canada, and then it's brutally cold in the winter. Taxes are different, different countries, so those things come into play. But there's nothing wrong with Memphis taking a swing at a guy, especially if they got some cap space. And I know soon Ja's gonna have to sign that Supermax, because I think he'll qualify, because I think he won Rookie of the Year, and then I'm pretty sure he's gonna make an All-NBA team. So once that formula hits for the Supermax and it comes in, you're on the clock. But he's a guy that I don't think is leaving, because to his credit, he as the number 2 overall pick, first year they're fighting for the play-in, lose out in the bubble. Second year, winning the play-in in the, I want to say the 9-10 matchup, and then they beat the Warriors. Steph and the Warriors, who Steph was an MVP candidate that year, beat him in San Francisco to make the playoffs. So it's like to make that jump to make from the play-in to the play-in and making it as the 8 seed to the number 2 seed. That's a huge jump. We just talked about jumps. Huge jump. So you make that jump, and then can you get that first playoff series win? Because if they get that playoff series win, they will be matched up, which I predict they're going to be matched up against the Warriors because Jokic is the MVP. So the MVP, I will say this and I'll stand on this. The MVP is a regular season award, right? And so since it's a regular season award and you judge it as such, you can't kill Jokic too much, especially for not having, Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray in the all regular season, and he's not going to have them in the postseason. So, you can't give him too much credit, too much killing for that. And the only other thing is, how bad are the Warriors going to do him?
I would have still gave that award to the Joel Embiid. This is my opinion. I would have gave that MVP to Joel Embiid. I wouldn't be mad at it. It's one of those deals to where I wouldn't be mad if Joel Embiid got it. It's great as the players Jokic has been doing. And if you switch the roles, and that's the only thing that gets tricky, if you switch the roles and you put Joel Embiid in a role where he didn't have two of his star players, two of his key guys all year, and he puts up those numbers, then he wins it. Whereas at least with Joel Embiid, they did make the trade for Harden, and at times it looks scary. Sometimes it looks real scary, like, dang, James is breaking people down, getting people involved. Embiid is getting it done on the block. He's taking people outside, hitting the three. I mean, that one thing in practice where they're showing Joel Embiid learning how to do the step back, and it's like, bro, you're 7 foot. He should be able to do that. That's illegal. But it's illegal. And it's man.
Yo, that's crazy.
Hey, but, man, the era of the big man shooting the threes, man, it's coming of age.
It's here. It's coming. But the perfect big man, the two bigs that I know they're different. But I love the way Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic both play on the block and can give you a little something, and they can step outside and do stuff. And Joel has worked on his passing, and Jokic is really like a point center at times. Because Jamal Murray is more of a scorer. He can facilitate, but Jokic will facilitate and loves to pass. And so, like, them being a part of the game, I love that because you can't just totally neglect bigs. Like, you got two guys on each conference where it's like, hey, you have to have somebody to deal with it. And you have your guys like your Bam Adebayos, your underman type centers, and sometimes they have their hands full, but you need a center. You may not need a Steven Adams anymore. It's nice to have them. I still like the rugged bigs that are going to rebound, play tough defense. Like, they're still set hard screens. There's a value for that. But, when things skew too much with the shooting, just like in football, I think eventually it's going to skew too much with the passing. And then the teams are going to be able to pound you into submission with the running. So it's one of those deals where how are you going to match up with them? I just want Jokic's team to be healthy and ready, because he doesn't have too much time left on his contract, and that could be a situation where he leaves Denver, and that would leave Denver in a tough situation. So I don't think he'll do it this offseason, but next year, if that's not going well, expect to hear trade rumors about Nikola Jokic. One destination could be Dallas.
That'll be interesting, because then you have LUKA. You have LUKA with Jokic, but then again, who knows? Because even Anthony Davis, I heard rumors being traded to either Dallas, Los Angeles, the Suns, even LeBron himself going to some of those teams as well.
Yeah, I've heard that, but I think everything with the Lakers involved is all going to come down to LeBron signing that extension. And one thing that irks me about the Lakers, and this will be my last Laker point, it irks me, the Buss family makes all of their money, or the bulk of their money, from the Lakers. So that's why they're always worried about the TV deal, and the games on TV. And because it's Los Angeles, if the team isn't good, nobody's going to tune in. They make less money the way it up. But when people are watching, like they were the last few years, then they're going to make their money, and they're going to pack the arena, because, COVID did affect, the billionaire owners. Well, it probably hit the pockets of owners like the Lakers, where it's like, hey, this is like a family mom and pop deal, but it's worth a few billion. And so they're going to need, fans and seats. LeBron basically has over around 1,000 and some odd points to break the scoring record. Somewhere in there. He's going to be able to break that next year. You don't think that Genie busting them want him in a Laker uniform? They definitely want him in a Laker uniform. Now, what they don't want is the speculation of, is he going to leave? They don't want that. So I think he probably signs a 1 or 2 year extension. However they see fit. He signed the extension. I've heard if he signs that extension, everything's good to go. Probably try to get Anthony Davis right. But I still think there's a chance of that secret. We found the best deal. We ship Anthony Davis, even though he's a clutch sports agent guy and he's, a LeBron guy. LeBron has literally traded Dewayne Wade. And it's not one of those situations where he has that power at this time. The moves the Lakers have made have shown he doesn't have that power. They're going to take that power back because you wanted Russell Westbrook. We spoke on this on another show. You wanted this move. You wanted that move. They're going to take some of those moves back and, make the moves that are probably the better basketball moves. So that's going to be interesting to see. So I'm trying to recap here. What series or what do we agree on? So how did you feel about how many games you think the Raptors and Sixers are going?
Probably 5. I'll give it a 5-game series.
I'm with you on that one. Do the Nuggets get swept?
They win 1 game. I think it's a 5-game series as well.
Okay, yeah, I can see that and that game 5, that game 5 in San Francisco is gonna be crazy. What do you think about the Suns? You think the Suns finish it in 5, or you think the injury to Devin Booker hurts them a little more than that?
It definitely hurts them. Come on, let's be honest. Devin Booker is a pinnacle of the NBA right now. He is our modern Kobe at this moment.
I wouldn't go that far for me. I will say that sometimes he has a little Kobe to him, but I still. It's not that I don't not like Devin Booker, but it's one of those deals. We got a few minutes in the show, guys. So if you have StreamYard, if y'all disagree with our picks, if y'all want to jump back on that Kelvin Joseph situation or talk a little bit about the draft, you're more than welcome to click the link and jog in. I'm a big draft guy, and I'm probably gonna give y'all a lot of that next week. So we can get that started early. But I think that besides that bubble run that they had, and I know he was a top pick, he was a lottery pick, a later lottery pick, and DeAndre Ayton was the number 1 overall pick. You had Mikal Bridges, so you had your core young guys, and you added other veterans. That team was like not like a superstar type player or a star type guy can fight and get you to the playoffs. Devin Booker wasn't doing enough winning for me. And until Chris Paul showed up and got things right, I think that shows that Chris Paul is a top 75 guy. As far as in the next 25 years, will Devin Booker be a part of the top 100? I'm not sure of that, because he's a guy that, he wasn't able to do that and get those teams in the playoffs. He was a guy that in crucial moments last year, it was like they were trying to push him to be Finals MVP and push him. It wasn't that. It feels rushed. You came with the cool whips and the cars, and it looked real good. And your walk-ups were cool, and you had some good performances. But a real superstar is a guy 34 and dropped 50 in game 6. A real superstar is a guy that showed up when this team wasn't doing anything, hadn't been in the playoffs in over a decade, and Chris Paul shows up and gets them to the finals. That's the type of change I need. Those are the things that I can't deny from when I see that. But Devin Booker is starting to make that change. I'm kind of coming around, but I'm still reserving it. To give him the full praise, but respect to him. Someone that I've come around on, and I do give him their props, because I didn't believe he was going to be this good coming in. I know I was wrong. Was Jason Tatum. How many games does that one go?
That probably will go 6 to 7 games. That series. You
said 6 to 7. Okay, so I got the Nets taking it at 6, man. I got him at 6. Kyrie, a healthy Kyrie, a healthy Kevin Durant. You're gonna get a few. I don't even know if the minutes from Ben Simmons are gonna be effective and how much they will be. But I still think Jason Tatum is gonna ball out. Marcus Smart. He's gonna defend Kyrie as well as he can. He is the defensive player of the year, but I just still don't think it's enough. I know we didn't speak a lot on this one because it's looking bad, but the Hawks and the Heat.
I was just about to bring that up too, because I know they're up 2-0 right now.
Yeah.
And the Heat and the Hawks. The thing about the Hawks is, this Heat team that they're facing is kind of like the Heat team that played in the bubble, right?
Yeah.
So they're hungry. So you realize, hey, last year when the Hawks were going to their playoff run, make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, you realize, hey, when push comes to shove and they face a tough defensive team that's willy-nilly and it's like able to shoot as well, get to the free throw line and, put pressure, that's when you see what you're made of. And obviously the Hawks still got some work to do, but that doesn't mean they're hopeless. It just means they need some help in certain areas more.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. And it's like Trae Young, and that's where it's conflicting. Trae Young really showed me something last playoff run. And I know you can say things about injuries happening, and he was injured himself in the conference finals. We talked about that last week. About the runs that he's was able to make. But he impressed me. And I don't like it the way it's always improved. It's always LUKA versus him. It's like, look, we can admit both of them are superstar players, man. But and I was, they are. They definitely are. But it's a situation where he literally led that team to the conference finals, and that's not a place the Hawks go very often. And the showmanship that he showed. What's going on, Jay? Welcome
What's
in.
What's up? How you guys doing? I got an interview in about 6 minutes with somebody. I'm gonna do on my channel, but I'm here to talk about my team and about the games that I saw yesterday quickly to you guys. So basically, Minnesota and Grizzlies. I'm glad J. Morant showed up because I wanted the Grizzlies. Let's be real. J. Morant needed to do that because the point needed to be made. You can't come in our house and just think you can just beat us. So I'm glad J. Morant showed up, and I'm glad he wasn't injured. Please, we already got Devin Booker with his injury, and the Suns will be fine with that. I'm worried about the Grizzlies. So he showed up, he did what he had to do. His team all went around him, and they did it, and it took care of home court. Now, when it came to the Mavs and
the Jazz.
The Jazz? Yeah. I'm not surprised they got a win in. Everybody was expecting LUKA not LUKA. Everybody was expecting that team to fall apart without LUKA. They just showed the Jazz something. So the Jazz got to be on their toes, but I think the Jazz are still going to be able to close it out if Donovan Mitchell does what he's supposed to do, because remember, he's the leader of that team. Definitely. If he's able to take some advice from DW, which he's been talking with them, he might be able to pull out, be able to seal the series together. But like I said, it's going to be different once they get into their court. Because like I said, next game, they're going to be at their place for 2 times. So they got a chance to really seal it in their own hometown. Now let's get to my team, the Miami Heat. Okay. And I'll talk about the Celtics in a second. Bro, Jimmy Buckets, bro. This man literally carried his team on his back on that game. I'm going to be real because, Atlanta was shutting down two of the big 3, which was literally Bam and Tyler to a degree. And I know somebody said Tim Duncan too, but Tim Duncan's not gonna have the same night he always has in that first game. So I already know that he's not a one-trick pony, but if he feels good that day, he can shoot. But I gotta give it to my man Jimmy Butler, man. He's the reason why they won that game yesterday. Because I was another stream yesterday, and I had the last score, so I couldn't watch the game, but I had like the last score on YouTube. And I'm saying like, yo, everybody says Jimmy's going wild. And I'm like, wait, is he taking over the game? And it sounds like, because somebody said he had like 40 points. I'm like, what? Nah, man, he got 45 points. Like,
he was killing it.
Yeah, man, he was being that the aggressive. I know I watched his interview, when he was on the podium and stuff like that. He literally said, I'm not the same version of me when I was in the NBA Finals. I'm a different person all the time. But I will bar back and say I think that was Finals Jimmy. The way he could put up those points like that. Like, let's be real. Going to the paint, actually shooting threes, which he don't normally do, because he's a two-way player. And when he's hot, he'll go in. And he said I wasn't even thinking about doing. I was just shooting. That's all I was doing.
Yeah, I'm with you. I really think that they have a real good shot. I just think that them not having that superstar, and I see Jimmy as
they don't have a superstar.
If you get that superstar, with Jimmy, then I think you really got something because they have a good nucleus of a team. So if they can work a sign and trade, or if they have the cap space and bring in a guy, I think it'll be a problem. I don't think that guy is Bradley Beal. I don't think he's a superstar. I think he's a good two. So. But if you have 2 twos and you have the other depth that they have, who knows?
They can make it to the East.
Yeah. Like if you have 2-way players. Yeah, if you have 2-way players, like I would say like second tier players all together on the team and they can work together. Like let's say this was prime Kemba Walker and you had that, they got something.
Yeah, got something.
But yeah, something. But the thing is, can you like since they don't like they're known for not having a star and yet they managed to get to the finals like 2 years ago without having a significant star. I think the thing is it was just good team basketball like the Suns.
Yeah.
So my whole thing
went hot. He went crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, like, I see them going against the 76ers. I want to talk about the 76ers and Raptors. I think the 76ers are going to close it out, personally. Yeah. I love everybody who was down the Sixers, and I'm like, dude, the Sixers should be coming out on that game. I don't care what the Raptors have done. They're not beating James Harden now, and not beating Joel Embiid. They have nobody to go against him. Bam is like a counter, a perfect mirror of Joel Embiid, and he has Matt Hobbs. The both of them do. So it makes sense that those teams will stack up well to each other, but the Raptors, they don't have that. Mm-mm. And now let me get to the friggin' Celtics and the friggin' Nets. I actually am surprised the Celtics won the first game, even though their second game is on right now. I'm really surprised because the last time I looked, it was 111 to freaking 114. I'm like, oh, the Nets got this.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, freaking what's his name gets a shot in, and then they managed to win. On the skin of their teeth, I'll be honest. That was not an easy game. It was a good game. Yeah. But I think that's the most entertaining. Besides the Timberwolves and the Grizzlies, that's the most entertaining playoff one right now.
Yeah,
that's the Nets and the Celtics.
The one that everybody's got their own, and I know that like I said, we was talking earlier. I got the Nets winning that one, but it's just one of those deals to where if Jason Tatum, if he does go crazy, if Brown can give them enough. And if Marcus Smart, he's gonna have one of those games as defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
He's gonna frustrate the shit out of Kyrie.
Yeah, he is. If he does his role right, then he can be a facilitator that can really mess with Kyrie's head.
Yeah, and he messes with his head and he makes those impact plays where it's like he's what they hype up Patrick Beverly to be. Which he annoys me. Where it's like, hey, he's playing real deal defense. Like he's really D'ing guys up, and then every now and again he'll hit a big three. He'll get a hustle play because he's that old school defensive guy that makes a play, gets a bucket, and I love it. I just, I wish it was on my team. I wish everybody should have a guy like that. But I don't know if he has enough in him. If they have enough, and that's called the Celtics dilemma with all those picks and pick swaps and all that they had. They never got the other guy. Like they got Jason Tatum, but they can never package it up and sell high and get another star. And so
it's just unfortunate, man, because this series we should have got it in the second or third round of the playoffs, not so early.
It's one of those deals where the trouble with the vaccine thing with Kyrie and the injuries, and so it happened.
Wait, can Kyrie still play in? Hold on, wait. They're in the Celtics territory, right? So when they go back to Brooklyn, he can't play in Brooklyn, can he? Or can he not?
Yeah, they got rid of that. Yeah, they got rid of that.
Okay, good. I'm glad that's gone because that would just ruin the playoff games.
And we got 5 minutes here, guys. So last remarks about anybody, how you feel about any series or anything like that. So, like I said, man, I can't wait to. This is the week where it's toughest because it's like they're stretching the games out. They're stretching them out. And then next week it's gonna speed up. They're gonna get this round done, and the second round is really gonna be rolling, man. It's really gonna.
That's
be
where
rolling.
It picks up.
You're gonna get the Heat, Sixers.
Yeah, you're
gonna get the.
I want that. I actually want that. That's that, and I'm gonna say this: every player on my team has to do well in the Heat, because if they could do the, I'll say this: if they came out the way they started this season, the regular season, like 6-7 games, like just blowing out like they did. And I know they beat them regular season, but I'm gonna be real. I don't count that. The playoff people are different in the playoffs. The mentality is very different, and also people can get rid of your strongest weapon or one of your weapons. So with that series, that should be a back and forth series.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler guarding James Harden. I love
Harden. That's gonna be. I would love to see that, and not to mention, I think Jimmy's in his player mentality mode now. because I know he's not a star and people say that about him, but he technically just got put on the stats along with Dewayne and LeBron as a Heat player that in the playoffs that made 40 points and up.
Yeah.
So if he could, I'll be honest, if he does it again, you got to give him respect. I tell people all the time, you got to stop doubting him, man. Because let's be real, nobody expected him to be in the finals with the Lakers that time. I didn't even know that it was in there until somebody told me.
I just knew it was going to be Lakers Celtics. I just knew it was, and they kind of messed it up because I wanted to tie them with the 17 championships playing against them.
Oh,
everybody loves to talk about the Celtics history, but I mean,
the Celtics and the Lakers.
That 2008 championship ring, all those other championships came way in the 80s and way before that. So, Marcus, anything else you want to close out with, man?
Nothing, man. Just thank you for having me. I know I'm a substitute for Shawnee, who is out today. Wishing him the best.
I appreciate you.
To take care of. Man, I appreciate Dante. I appreciate Black Man Unfiltered for letting me co-host. Hit the link, like, share, and subscribe to Black Man Unfiltered Network. Also, Takashi. Thank you for stopping by, brother. Hit the link, like, share, and subscribe to his channel as well.
Oh yeah, by the way, Bucks are winning. I'll let you know.
There you go.
That's not much of a series. I'm gonna be real.
Nah, they're gonna kill them. The Bulls, like we were saying earlier, the Bulls are young, and they just gotta take their lumps and then come back the next year because they started to fade down the stretch, and they just gotta play better in crucial situations. Those like when they get those numbers down, and I'm big on the numbers. When they get those clutch situations down, it's tough for young teams to do those well, and the veteran guys are gonna be able to do it. And you have DeMar DeRozan, but you can't put it all on him. He is 35. And so you got to get someone else to you got to get Zach LaVine to do it. And he can. And he did it in the days when they didn't have anyone else. You got to get the guys around them just to step up and do more. So I'm excited to see these playoffs. Like I said, next week, it'll be the draft will be the next day. So it'll be, a day before the draft. We're going to get some draft talk in. So for those of you that might like the draft and say those different things, of course, we'll give you your playoff updates. I think by next week, some teams might be home already.
Also, real quick before the show.
Go ahead.
Real quick before the show ends. Tyson Fury, Dylan White this weekend. So stay tuned and watch that big boxing heavyweight championship fight as well.
Definitely, because I ordered that. I hate we didn't get to it. I got that Earl Spence fight, and that was a great. I really enjoyed watching him. I can't wait to see him see Terrence Crawford. I can't wait for that. I'm gonna have to order that fight too. But man,
also make sure next week we'll make sure to go over UFC as well, because there'll be some big fights coming up as well. Big news in that sphere of boxing combat sports.
Well, do that, man. So I appreciate everybody that came in and checked out in the comments. We appreciate y'all. Continue to like, share, and subscribe. Black Man Unfiltered Network. Thank you again, man, for having this platform. And we will see you guys next week, man. Get well, Shawnee. We'll see you next week, man.